Everyone could see it in the hollows of your eyes. A gaze averted from life. You ran from it but brought it nearer. Led it to him. An endless suffering, worse than death. And you wanted to surrender, abandon him to find peace with the gods. No. The darkness won't allow it. So you will walk into the lair of the beast. Look it in the eye, and you will go to war. This is your mission. This is your quest. There is nothing else left. The gods made you a warrior for a reason. It's your calling. Why suffer the past when there is a new road ahead? The only one that makes any sense. Charge!
Don't let them surround you. Behind you!
Every gate you open into darkness brings another charge.
It's not over. Remember the warrior trials. Down! Behind you! Behind you! Just die!
The journey to Helheim is never a straight one. Each must find their own path. Align yourself to its secrets, and you will find yours.
However you come to the gold-covered bridge that leads to Hell, you may find it guarded by a giantess. She will ask your name. She will ask your lineage. She will ask your business. The Northmen tell of the warrior woman Brynhild, who leapt into fire and rode to Hell to join her slain love Sigurd, and is challenged by the giantess. Hela possesses large dwelling places in Helheim. Tall are her walls, high are her gates. Hela possesses large dwelling places in Helheim. Tall are her walls, high are her gates. The name of her dish is hunger. Her knife is famine. On her threshold all will stumble. Her bed is called sick bed, and her bed hangings are called flames of a funeral pyre. They say she is easy to recognize, half black and half the color of flesh, and her face menacing and grim.
It's opening. Who is it? It's coming.
That song again.
Is it?
It's Hela.
Yes, the source of the darkness. It's coming. This is your moment.
I'm sorry. I can't watch this.
What are you doing? You're showing weakness. You're not a warrior. You're a disgrace. The gods will punish you for this. Pick up the sword. Pick it up. Fight the darkness. Fight it.
She's scared.
Get up. Get up. Get up and fight.
Stormy seas and lost souls.
She's dreamt of this before.
They say dreams are visions of our memories, thoughts and fears, as seen by our inner eye.
But what if each one of us is always dreaming, even when awake, and we only see what our inner eye creates for us?
Is this what hell is? A world shaped by Senua's nightmares. Maybe that's why people feared seeing the world through her eyes. Because if you believe that Senua's reality is twisted, you must accept that yours might be too.
You failed the gods. You're pathetic. Rotten. Cursed. What were you thinking? Did you really think you could win? How stupid can you be?
So stupid.
Everyone hates her. She's cursed.
The shadow hates.
Look at you. A warrior. Worthless. Weak. Pathetic. Go on. Feel sorry for yourself, because there is no one left to do that for you.
Everywhere. You failed. What's that?
Take it. If you're too much of a coward to fight, then end the suffering. Broken and lost. Just like your soul.
Come on. Dare.
Why go on when you give everything and face that which torments you, only to find that it is worse than you could have imagined? Why go on? Is it really so weak to ask this? Or are we just so afraid of the honest answer that we do not dare pose the question? Sometimes the answer lies in a memory, a feeling, a song.
It's not real. It's a trick. It's not real. Listen to it.
Don't give up.
Dillian. It's
Not like this.
It's not real. It is real. It's a trick. Don't trust it. Maybe you're already dead.
Who are you?
Do you still believe in me, Shan?
No. It's not. It's a trick. It's a trick. He's already dead. He can't be here. It's impossible. Dillian.
Come to me. Please.
The light. Go towards the light. It's him. There he is.
Before she first met him, she was not in a good place. Just a teenager, but not like the others. Barely functioning, she rarely left the house. Her father's in-bell made sure of that. Only occasionally did she venture out on her own, collecting firewood and herbs. Errands out in the Orkney Plains. That was her world. Like this one. Barren and lonely.
It's already disappeared. Nothing lives here, not even you. It's in your mind. You think you can see it, but it's in yours.
There he was. The lone figure of a boy. Sword play under the shade of a tree. She remembers the first time she saw him. To her young eyes, he moved as if dancing. And the world danced with him. The gloom lifted. And for the first time in years, she felt a ray of hope.
The Northmen tell of a great hero. His name is Sigmund. His father's hall was built around a great tree, and one day, Odin comes and thrusts a sword into the tree, a gift to whomever can release it. Many try, but the sword only comes out at Sigmund's touch. His brother-in-law, King Siggeir, wants it, but Sigmund refuses him, so King Siggeir plots revenge. He invites Sigmund and his brothers to a feast, but when they arrive, they are met with an army, not a warm welcome. King Siggeir captures Sigmund and his brothers, steals his coveted sword, and readies them for execution.
Day after day, watching from afar, she mimicked him, perfecting her own secret dance, wishing those fleeting moments of light would stretch out to last forever.
Death for Sigmund and his brothers seems certain. But the king's wife is Sigmund's sister, and she begs for mercy and implores the king to chain them up instead. He agrees. Not for mercy, though, but because he plans an even more cruel and lingering death. Chained to a tree in the forest that night, a she-wolf comes and devours one of Sigmund's brothers. She returns, ravenous, night after night, until only Sigmund is left. The next day, Sigmund's sister sends a servant with honey to smear on Sigmund's face. But to what end? Well, that night, when the she-wolf appears again, you'll never guess what happens.
It's a trick. It's an illusion. It's not real. But you want to believe it's real, but it's a trick. You're deluded. Where are you going? Where is she going? What is she following? You can't even fight. It's just deception.
How does he so effortlessly court the world and bliss? If only she could do the same. See the world through eyes anew and dance with it, just like he does.
What's your name?
Senua.
I haven't seen you before.
I don't leave home much.
Oh, Zeno's daughter.
I have to go.
Wait. Who taught you to fight like that?
No one.
No one.
Well, I watched you, and
You learnt all of that from watching me? You should become a warrior, you know.
me?
I'm Dillian. I'm here for the warrior trials. Just come and watch. And bring your sword.
You can't put it into words. That moment when you look into the eyes of the one who is supposed to reassure you, make you feel safe. It only takes an instant. Fear swallows you before you have a chance to make sense of it. And darkness becomes a part of who you are. But her world changed the day the Northmen took him from her. Senua knows that there's no going back to how things were. That there's nothing to go back to at all.
Stay still, stay quiet, hide, don't tell her.
Their gods can see into your mind. They will use this power to destroy you.
They won't stop me. I can still feel it.
Whatever's left of him, they will never let him go.
I'm not gonna let him rot here.
You're the one rotting here.
Leave me alone.
You will die here.
No.
And all your suffering will have been for nothing.
Shut up! Dillian? Is that you? I'll find you, my love. I promise.
see him.
You want to believe it.
Is he
It's
there?
not real.
Is he there?
You're alone in these mountains.
Is that Delia? Nothing lives here.
You won't.
Survive.
You met him by the tree.
She met him by the tree.
Maybe it's a sign, the tree.
What's he trying to tell you?
He's waiting for you by the tree.
As the she-wolf licks the sweet honey from Sigmund's face, he bites the wolf's tongue. The she-wolf pulls away, but Sigmund holds on. The chains break, and he is free. After his escape, Sigmund lives like us, hidden in the forest. His enemy, King Siggeir, believing him dead, as his sister plots revenge. And for vengeance to succeed, even the great Sigmund needs help. So she sends her sons to him. But their blood is weak and corrupted, and they're put to death by Sigmund. So his sister hatches a new plan, one that is cold of heart and pure of blood. Sigmund's sister trades shapes with a sorceress, and in disguise, she lies with her own brother. She gives birth to a son named Sinfjotli. After a time, she sends him to the forest to Sigmund. He tests the boy and finds him strong and fearless, and so they go to take their vengeance on King Siggeir. But luck is not on their side. They're captured, and Siggeir has them buried alive. Imagine a sword that can slay gods. Its name is Grarm. It was forged by the god of all Northmen, Odin, and gifted to Sigmund, a great warrior.
I need this sword. It's important. Can you help me?
The sword appears whole, but it is an illusion. It shattered into shards long ago. It is said a great warrior can reforge Grarm by answering the trials of Odin, one for each shard. The roots of the Tree of Death will take you to new lands, where you will face trials.
Go to the shard. Go to the shard. Where is it? Find it. There it is.
Focus.
There's the shard. Focus.
Focus.
Use your eyes. Look.
Get closer.
What can you see?
A king in the north forced the dwarves to make a sword that would never fail and never rust, and that would slice through iron and stone and bring victory to its bearer. But the angry dwarves cursed it. It would be the death of a man every time it was drawn, and it would be the death of the king. Let me tell you about the sword Tyrving.
I don't recognize this blade. Where are we? Where is she?
It feels wrong. Where are we now? Burial mound. So strange that we go to such lengths to bury death. Something so very ordinary, inevitable. It's as if we conspire to hide death, because we have no answer for it. But when it comes, and forces itself onto our friends or loved ones, then comes the reckoning.
She's a wild, willful child, Senua. You remind me of a story that the Northmen tell about a young woman warrior. Her name is Herver, the daughter of a berserker, born after he was killed. She's a wild, willful child who teaches herself to fight with weapons. When she learns where her father is buried, her only desire is to reclaim the treasure buried with him, but above all, the sword, Tyrving.
Dillian, I'm here. I'm here for the trials. Like when we first met, remember? I'll find him.
What's that? Did you hear that? Nothing. Was that voices?
Don't touch the walls.
You don't know what they might do.
Turn back.
She has to keep going.
It's not safe here.
She has to keep going.
If you go down there, no one can save you.
It's too scary.
I can hear him.
Herver disguises herself as a man to join a band of warriors, and soon becomes their leader. When they come to the island where her father is buried, Her men do not want to go ashore. They say that evil haunts the island, and that it is a worse place by day than other places are by night. Fearless, she lands alone. There are many grave mounds, and all of them have ghostly flames burning over them. She comes to the grave mound of her father after passing through these ghostly fires, as though they were mist. The flames I passed through were real enough. Damn the Northmen to hell.
The voice is getting louder. Listen.
Dillian.
Listen, listen, listen. It's him. Listen. It's getting louder.
There he is.
You're getting closer.
Keep going.
Senua, follow the voice.
You're nearly there.
Dillian's voice.
It's him. He's going to save you.
Find the voice.
Find him. It's not him.
It's not him.
We told you. We told you it was a trick.
That voice doesn't sound like Dillian.
What's happening? It's not him, it can't be.
What's that sound? The voice is changing.
What? That's not Dillian.
That doesn't sound...
Within the burial mound, Herver calls on her father to wake from death and bring her his sword. She says that it is not seemly for the dead in their grave mounds to bear valuable weapons. Her father answers with words of warning. You go to your doom. Baleful runes surround you. You have gone mad. You have lost your mind. Your thoughts are confused. It is dangerous to wake the dead. Like I said, she reminds me of you.
What's in there?
What's in there?
What is it?
A secret room.
There are bars.
How do you get in there?
How does she get in there?
Maybe you can't.
There's no way in.
Find a way.
There has to be a way
It's not Dillian.
Find another way. It's not working. You have to use your mind. Where can you go? You're failing. Find a think. Focus. Use your mind. Breathing. You to slip through your fingers. Think clearly. You have to find another way. There has to be another way. You don't recognize it. Don't doubt yourself. You'll never find it. She doesn't recognize it. Yes, you do. You know it. She doesn't. Listen for his voice. Listen. Dillian, where are you? Listen for his voice. Dillian. She can't hear.
Dillian wants me to face my fears. Father? I'm leaving. I've decided. I think it will be good for me.
It's the darkness. It's speaking through
No,
you.
Dad, it's me. I think I can beat it. In my own way.
I can see the darkness in your eyes, child.
I met a boy.
Boy?
The chief said so.
No.
He said he could help me.
It's a trick.
He said I could be normal.
Normal?
Yes.
No boy is going to save you. No one can. When they see the rot growing inside you,
No!
they will turn their back on you. The gods can only fix you through my hand. You're going nowhere.
No.
You will not defy the gods. Come, child, take my hand. Come, Senua.
I am leaving!
You cannot escape the darkness. Your curse will make everyone suffer. You will have blood on your hands!
It's done. You did it, but there's more. There's more. You're tired. You have to keep going. There's still more. There's always more to do. It's not going to be easy. Can you do another one? It's too much. Have you got the energy? She hasn't got the energy.
Sigmund's sister trades shapes with a sorceress, and in disguise, she lies with her own brother. She gives birth to a son named Sinfjotli. After a time, he sends him. I saw once a plague strike northern lands of ice. It was so terrible that not the oldest man among us could remember the like. Hundreds died. The sickness took nearly every person younger than 40, and many older. And where dying mothers gave birth, the marks of the plague were on the babes as they came out of the womb.
Where are we? I don't like it. This place feels... What is this place? This place feels... It's... creepy. Creepy. It feels wrong. It feels strange. Where is it? Where are we? Turn back. This is wrong. This has to be wrong. There he is. There he is. The light. Go towards it. He's in the house. Find him. Don't let him disappear this time. Don't let him down. Get there. He's going in. He's disappearing. Follow him.
It's a test.
It's just a trial.
Like the old warrior trials. Dillian will help me.
Just one little test to do. You can almost reach him. You can almost see him.
The stench of rot. She can almost taste it. Do you smell it? No. Don't worry. Not everyone can. It was a warm spring day when she went to the river with Dillian and the others. But the water. She could taste the rot. No one else could. She knew something was wrong. Something sinister. She begged them to leave, but they just laughed at her. But soon enough, as the bodies piled up, no one was laughing. And they knew that she was not like that.
It doesn't finish until you get to the house.
Before he disappears, Senua.
You have to get in.
Northmen speak of a death moon, a light shaped like a half moon that appears inside a house and goes around the walls. I once saw the death moon appear at a farm, and first the shepherd died, then a guest died, and then the farm hands, and then the farmer and 6 of his men drowned at sea. But that is not the end of it, because the dead return to haunt the living. If you see the death moon, then beware, because there will be death in that house.
That's it. You did it. She didn't. It's not done yet. Just a small piece of the puzzle. You found a way to climb the tower. The ladder. Quick. What now? You can see it. A line to the truth. The bridge.
Senua! Come to me! Where are you?
I'm here. I'm right here.
Are you in there?
Find him.
Come out if you
To
are.
find him. The runes. Focus. On the runes.
There was a Northman called Grettir. Big, red-haired, immensely strong. But he was afraid of the dark. It happened one night that an undead creature came to his house to drag him outside into darkness and kill him. He resisted with every ounce of his strength. He clung to the doorframe, but it gave way, and they spilled out of the house, and the monster fell back, and the moon shone down on its ghastly face. Grettir, terrified, cuts off its head, but is cursed forever. From that moment on, wherever he was, he would see those hideous eyes staring back at him. Sometimes we allow our own fear to haunt us to our grave.
What's that sound?
Dillian! They're coming for me! What should I do?
Where's your snake? There it is. Go towards it. Run. Find it. Focus. 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 Two more. Where are they, Sam? Where's Dillian? Where are you? Don't let it see you. Don't get lost. Don't let it see you. You'll start to There it is. Move away. Don't let it look quick. Where's Dillian? Where is he? This is taking too long. Can you hear him? You're lost. Runes. You have to find them. Where are you? You're lost. Where are they? This all looks the same. The light. Go towards it. Focus. 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 Look. One more to find. One more. One that's it. Find the other symbol. You're lost.
Where are you?
You've got them. Where's the door? Find it again. Get out. Run. Run. Don't let it look at you. Don't let it see you. It's coming. Move away. You're lost again.
Senua! Senua! What happened?
They're blaming me for the plague. They say that I'm cursed. What if they're right?
How would they know such a thing? Are they gods? None of us are. They're just people. Good people, but they're scared. They're afraid of what they can't see. Like children scared of the dark. They make up stories to fill the void. It doesn't make them true.
What if my father was right?
You have to step out of this darkness. Let them see who you really are, like I have. You're not a monster.
Without you, this darkness has made me a monster.
What if this is pointless? What if you're wrong? What if this has nothing to do with the soul? What if we're wrong? The soul will never be yours. What if this is the end? It's just a trick. It's just a pointless test. You've been fooled before. You could be fooled again. You don't know. It's just their game for you. You never know which way it's going to go.
I want to tell you a story about a god of the Northmen called Balder. The second son of Odin. He was beautiful, good and wise. He was fair of feature, he spoke fair words, he gave fair judgments. Light shone from him. Only good things were told of him. Yet he was the first of the gods to die.
But the bridge is broken. There's no way you can fix it. What do you do now, Sam? Yes. What is it? What does it see? Us. It's easy to watch you fail. Where are we? What is this? It's the same. It's another world. It's lighter. It's nicer. I like it here. The bridge. It's not broken. It's fixed. What happened? The bridge is fixed. Let's cross it.
The Northmen tell this story about the death of Balder. It begins with dark dreams. Night after night, Balder dreams of his own death, and the gods fear for his life. So Balder's mother makes everything in the world: fire, water, iron, stone, earth, wood, beasts, birds, serpents, poison, sickness. Swear an oath not to harm her son. One by one, they each make their vow. Neither weapons nor wood will injure him, Balder's mother boasts. Only Loki, father of Hela, the mistress of death, is not amused.
Dillion is in. Don't forget. You can feel it. You need the runes to fight Dillion. You need Dillion. He's waiting for you. I always said he's close. He cares about you. He is close. He loves you. Calling you. Dillion. Dillion, wait. Dillion. We're nearly here. Go through it. It's dangerous. Follow it. What's behind the gate? Where will it take you? It's not safe. Dillion, there he is. There he is. What are you waiting for? Quick, find a way. Find him. Go through. Where is he? Where's he gone? We're in the wrong world. He's not here. She's in the wrong world. He's not in this world. He's in the other one. He's in the other one. He's in the dark world. The dark. The dark.
The world once seemed so simple. Black and white. Darkness and light. Narrow dividing lines of our own making. Dillion taught her to see further. To peek through the cracks and see the worlds of colour stretching away from the gloom. And Senua explored new paths into the unknown.
The gods feast and rejoice and amuse themselves by throwing spears and stones at Baldur, striking at him with sword and axe. But he comes to no harm, whatever they do. The gods never cease to wonder at this great marvel. But Loki shapes himself into a woman and asks Baldur's mother, "Is it really true that all things promise to keep him safe?" "I did not ask the mistletoe," Baldur's mother confesses. "I thought it was too young." Oh dear.
Do you remember the way he touched you? Senua, you've got it. Why isn't he here? She was strong. He's gone. He's in the dark world. He's gone to the dark world. You're in the wrong world. He's in the other world. The dark world. Without you. Cursed. She thought she had light within her. She is pure darkness. You were guilty. Was it worth it? There he is.
Where are you taking me?
He's up there. How do you get up there? There's a way. Do you know? There is a way up there. She can do this.
Loki makes a dart out of mistletoe and goes to the gods as they throw things at Balder. The blind god, Huth, was there. Loki asks him why he wasn't taking part. Huth says, I cannot see where Balder stands, and even if I could see him, I have no weapon. Loki replies, here is a wand. I will tell you where he stands. And Huth throws the mistletoe at Balder. It pierces through him, and to everyone's horror, Balder is killed. And for this, Huth is slain.
Curse. How the darkness is swallowing them both. Know who killed him, but we do. He was kind to her. You can't go up there. Not in this world. Not in this world. You can't. Dillion saved you from them. Do you remember the way he touched you? Do you remember what love feels like? Dillion's in the tower. He's there. Look what happens to the things you love. Your curse is claimed. Poor Dillion. He didn't know he was cold. He led you astray. You should have listened to your father when you had the chance. Why didn't you listen to him? His love has tortured you, and it tortures Dillion. Your curse has claimed Dillion. Poor Dillion.
Years had passed since she left her father. She trained hard alongside her friend, Dillion. She saw things no one else could. Patterns, shapes, movement. An intuition that made her an exceptional warrior. Friendship turned to love. But the shadow of darkness never let her go, and she was caught between two worlds. That of Zinbel and her past, and Dillian, her future. Two realities tearing at her soul.
The Northmen tell how the gods mourned Balder. His body was to be burnt on his ship, but they could not manage to push it into the sea, and sent for a giantess to do it. She comes riding a wolf, and has vipers for her reins. She pushes Balder's ship into the sea with such force that the ground shakes, and the rollers burst into flames. When Balder's wife sees his body carried onto the ship, her heart bursts with grief, and she dies. She's put next to her husband, and the pyre is lit, sending the dead to hell. But even so, the gods cannot accept his death.
Nobody will love her now. Can you remember what love feels like? Look what happens to the thing she loves. She destroys the thing she loves. Do you remember the smell of his neck?
Overcome with grief, the gods send Hermod to ride to Hell and ask Hela to let Balder return home. All the gods are weeping, he says. Are they? Asks Hela. We shall see if he is truly missed. If everything in the world will weep for him, he shall go back to the gods. But if even one thing refuses, Balder stays with me. The gods send messengers everywhere. Weep for Balder, weep him out of hell. And everything wept. Men, beasts, earth, stone, trees, metal, everything. Except for a giantess they find in a cave. Balder was never my friend, she says. Let hell keep what she has. The Northmen say that the giantess must have been Loki in disguise.
Do you remember him whispering in your ear? Do you remember the way he stroked your hair? Do you remember the way he felt? Dillian cared for her like no one else has. Dillian's the only reason she's still alive. Everything gets broken. You killed him with your love because he believed in you. You have no time for this. Speed up. These traps mean nothing. It's all part of their game. They've set your trials to distract you. They've set you up, and now they're going to watch you. What if these trials does it feel like to be in love? What if this is pointless? What are you doing?
The Northmen tell how the gods punished Loki for Baldur's death. They captured him and took him to a cave. They fetched his 2 sons and turned one into a wolf, and he ripped his brother apart. The gods used Loki's own son's entrails to tie him down, and turned these bonds to iron, and dangled a poisonous serpent over his face, so that its venom would drip onto him. Each time the venom drips onto Loki's face, he writhes in agony. The Northmen say that is the cause of earthquakes. A reminder, perhaps, that if even gods must accept death, then so must we.
He didn't believe that she was cursed. He saved you when everyone else turned their backs.
Are just playing. What if the
Dillion!
Messing with her.
It wouldn't be
the first time. Be quick.
Dillion never much cared for the underworld. And looked dimly upon the druids, like her father, Zinbao. I guess he took after his father, a chieftain who believed nothing he couldn't see. And he happened to be blind. She felt safe in Dillion's arms, learned to see the world through his eyes. And slowly, the darkness that had bound her so tightly began to unravel. You're going to fall, careful.
No, she's not. She's not going to fall. She's strong. She's steady. She can do it. You can do it, Senua. Very careful. You've got this far. No! It's a narrow bridge. There's a long way to fall.
Senua, your father cannot understand your darkness. He cannot see through your eyes. No one can. My own father was born blind. Doesn't have the faintest idea of what the night looks like. The word dark to him means as little as the word light. So someone is afraid of the dark. So we fix them by taking away their sight. But you give up the beautiful world that you, only you can see, just to be rid of your nightmares. Or is this the price you pay for the gift you have? A gift that makes you so special in my eyes. Just another part of the person I love.
I left for the wilds to protect you from my darkness. Because I love you. But it made it worse. I'm so sorry.
Killing you would be too easy. They're taking your memories to torture you. They're taking you from the inside. You're disappearing one memory